now looking at Hinduism in India specifically. We've followed Christianity, Islam, and now we're on the third major religion in the world. In India, it is by far the main religion. You see 80% of the people in India practice this religion, and we talked about how India is the second most populated country in the world with over 1 billion people, so you can imagine over 800 million people are Hindu. Hinduism is a religion that is mainly found in India. If you go outside of India, you're not going to find too many people percentage-wise being Hindu. In India, they have many temples, and here's the largest temple. It's in New Delhi, located right here, where there's many different Hindu gods. Hinduism is a polytheistic religion. There are more than one god. There's actually thousands of gods. They hold to a quite different viewpoint from the Western religions of Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, where you have a monotheistic God, one God. And this one God created everything, created the world, created everything around us, created the souls, and God has always been. With Hinduism, they believe God has always been, but this God is quite different, and you're going to see that in what they call Eastern religions, that God and the creation are mixed together, and you can't separate them. And with Hinduism, it's basically there is no founder. There are temples, but you don't think of Hinduism as you do say prayers in the morning. You can do that to the gods, but you don't have something like a pope in Hinduism. In Hinduism, they do have scriptures. Here you can get them still today. You can go on Amazon. The Upanishads, I believe I'm saying that right. I'm probably saying it a little bit wrong. Upanishads is the one book that you can purchase. It tells you Hindu scripture, and Vedas is the other one that gives you Holy Scripture. So they do have scripture. Basically, let's talk about the actual religion itself. It's focused on this idea of the Brahman, and the Brahman is the supreme force, the superior force that is all around us. This force, it's the energy of life, and it is connected with everything. If you can think of the movie Avatar with the tree, how the tree in that movie, how it connected with everything in this life, and it's where all the power, the true power of the force is there. This force is nameless, it's formless, it's unlimited. You can't describe it, but it's there and it's around us. And it's a spiritual force. And because you can't name it, you can't taste it, you can't touch it, they have gods that you can look at, you can pray to, that help point towards this force that's all around us. These are 3 gods that I want you to know. The first one is the Brahma god. Don't get confused with Brahman and Brahma. Brahma is the creator. And then you have Vishnu. Vishnu is the preserver, Vishnu. And then you have Shiva, the destroyer. And it's kind of like a cycle, creator, preserver, destroyer. And there's stories behind these gods. I'm not going to get into those stories, but these are by far the 3 major gods in Hinduism. There are 3 concepts with Hinduism that I really want to talk about: karma, reincarnation, and the caste system. And they really have gone together for quite some time in the Hindu faith. Now, this man right here, this is someone that has a physical body, but they also they have a soul. It's called the Atman. And this soul is in all human beings. It's in all living things. It's in dogs, it's in zebras, it's in gnats, it's in flies. It's basically the essence of you. It's the real you, the spiritual soul. And this force is connected with what I talked about up here, the Brahman, the supreme force. And that's the goal of Hinduism, to liberate your soul from your body and ultimately become one with the Brahman. Now, that's a complicated thing, and that's something that I can't get into in simply doing this podcast. But this soul is largely determined by its process with how you live your life. And that can be seen in the concept called karma. Karma basically is what you give is what you get. If you're a jerk face to other people, you're going to have jerk face things happen to you. And you can see here that it comes around and gets you. Good things will come around. If you do good things will happen to you. You do bad things will happen to you. For example, you do a bad act, it's going to come around, and it's going to hurt you. And in Hinduism, karma is something that's very real. You face it in your life, and you will face it in the next. And let me explain that. Let's take Joseph Stalin. We talked about Joseph Stalin previously this year. Joseph Stalin is the biggest jerk face there is. Joseph Stalin's killed 18 to 25 million people. Some say more than 25 million people. We look at Joseph Stalin, and he did all these nasty things. He really put people in fear. He controlled people. His actions caused millions of people to die. But if you look at how he dies, he ends up dying of a stroke. Not a very painful way of going down. He pretty much got everything he wanted, and then he died. And someone might look at that and say, well, that disproves karma. If karma was real, Stalin would get what he deserved. Now, a Hindu would say not so fast, because there's this concept called reincarnation, that your soul is liberated from your body, and it will be reborn, and that's called reincarnation. That's another term with karma that I want you to be able to understand. So when you're reincarnated, okay, what ends up happening is how you lived your life determines how you're going to be reincarnated. If you totally focus on your spiritual Atman, your soul, and you live a life of surrendering to your soul, and live a life that is not focused on the pleasures of this world, your soul could be liberated. Okay? If you're focusing on material wealth and gaining money and the material possessions, well, your soul's going to stay in the material world, and you're going to be reincarnated. This is why cremations are so important in Hinduism. Cremation is a picture of your body. They burn the body, and that allows the soul to be liberated, and the process of reincarnation as a picture, and that's why they do cremation. So let's go back to Stalin. So Stalin was a jerk face. Karma doesn't hit him in this life. It's going to hit him in the next life. And this deals with karma, reincarnation, and then the next term I want you to be aware of is called the caste system. By the way, when they're reincarnated, it's good to have your ashes put into the Ganges River, and that's a holy river, so that helps with the process of reincarnation. Let's go back to the caste system. In India, it is technically illegal, but it is widely practiced in many different states. One thing about India is, we think of India as, obviously, it's just one country, but there's a lot of differences within each state in India. And some states practice the caste system much more than others. So you have all these different caste systems. And you're born into these caste systems, and you die in these caste systems. You can't work your way up, and you can't work your way down. You could be Billy Madison and be at the top, and you're not working your way down at the caste system. You could be at the bottom of the caste system and be as bright as Albert Einstein and have the work ethic of Tim Tebow, and you're not going to be able to work your way up the caste system. Each caste system has certain jobs, certain statuses, certain appeals to authority. If you're at the top, if you're at the bottom, you're not treated with much respect. And you're born into these caste systems. And the one caste I want you to be aware of is called the untouchables. There are hundreds of millions of untouchables in India. And the untouchables are what they sound like. They're untouchable. They do the jobs. This most likely it's an untouchable. They burn dead bodies. They touch the dead bodies. They deal with roadkill. This man right here is an untouchable. He is working in a sewer system underground a city in India. That's his job. Every day he goes down and he cleans the mess, unclogs sewage, and that's human waste all over him. Now, he's kind of, he doesn't look too miserable, and he understands the caste system. He's thinking, if I live a good life, if I work hard, if I surrender my pride and my greed, and I live a life, when I die, because of karma, the good karma, I'll be reincarnated into a higher caste. So it's essential where religion here, he believes if he's the best sewer cleaner there is, and he really focuses on being a morally standing fella, then he'll be higher in the caste system. Now, obviously, Joseph Stalin, back to Stalin, they're going to put him at the bottom of the caste system. He will be reborn in the bottom of the caste system. So there's a negative thing with this. If people look at him, not everyone, some people will look at him. Many people have sympathy and compassion towards him, but there's that idea that, man, he must have did something really bad in his past life to be born an untouchable, because that all goes back up to karma. Karma, reincarnation, caste system. Caste system is dying. Not all Hindus believe in the caste system. In fact, Gandhi spoke out against the caste system. Removing the untouchableness in your heart. Don't judge people by the caste system. But it is still widely practiced. Here are some others. These are two women in the back of a restaurant digging through the food that was discarded. This is the living conditions of the untouchables. Reading, PA, being the poorest city in the United States. We've been in that city. There's some sections that aren't the nicest, but compared to this, Reading is a luxurious city. This is poverty at its highest level, and that's where the untouchables would live. 1 in 6 are untouchable, and it's getting better. It came to a point where you could be, we talked about this, how you could be beaten if an untouchable shadow touches a higher caste person. They had to wear bells on their ankles to warn of their approach. They had to carry buckets so their spit wouldn't contaminate the ground. So those are definitely things that I want you to be aware of. Karma, reincarnation, caste system. Again, the whole goal is to end this reincarnation, this endless cycle, endless cycle, endless cycle. Don't think in the past, hey, I was Cleopatra, or hey, I was Alexander the Great. No, this is a cycle you want to free yourself from. And you want to eventually connect with the Brahman, the supreme superior force, the force that is all around us. And have your soul liberated and connected in there. Some people are asking about this. I want to talk about the cow. The cow is sacred, it's spiritual, it's holy, it's worshipped, and it's a picture of Mother Nature. It's a picture of how we should treat this earth. The cow was used very much in the early stages of Hinduism. By the way, there's no specific date when Hinduism came about, unlike Islam and Christianity, where we have a good idea of a specific time period. We have a general idea with Hinduism. But the cow, way back when it started, the cow was used for everything. The cow was used for farming. The waste was used for fertilizing the food. The milk was used. So the cow became holy as a symbol for the earth. And that's why you will see in India cows various places in India. You'd see them right here on the sidewalk. And they leave them alone and they show respect to the cow for the image that it bears. Again, that's Hinduism. I feel like I hit some of the major points, and next one will be Buddhism.